bit about... A little bit about how I got into type. I was teaching writing at the college level, and I began to notice what some of you have noticed, I'm sure, that some of my students would just write a laundry list of facts, and other students would write a whole string of topic sentences with no facts. And then there were others too. But anyway, someone pointed out to me that I was seeing Jung's mental functions. That's how I got into type. I discovered it empirically. I'm a zealot. So, because when you have the experience of it, nobody can argue you out of it. And when John Beatty invited me to co-teach Sitka, I was thrilled, and then he dropped the bomb on me. I said, okay, how do we, who's giving the assessments and so forth? Oh, we're not going to use assessments. And I said, but the students, how will they know what their type is? And he said, it's just going to be theoretical. And I was like, oh God, theory is not my best thing as an ENFP. So, and I felt strongly that students needed to know their own type, to have something to apply it to. Plus, there was sort of a black market behind the scenes in type assessment instruments, and who knew where they were getting their disease. So anyway, I had to teach the students how to assess themselves and their own type. Doesn't mean I don't use instruments, and in fact, I recommend all my students get qualified. Just want to mention two people who've been very instructive to me on how to recognize type. One is Mary Ann Sutherland, ISFP. One is my old friend Ann Loomis, ESFP. I think there's something about the extroverted sensing function that is such a good observer. So if you, easy answer to how to assess type without an instrument, just ask Mary Ann. They're my go-to people if I have a problem between two different types. And by the way, I'm going to ask you if there are particular types you want to see in action, or type pairs that you have trouble distinguishing. Write them on this or that thing. We're not going to get to all 16, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of triage. I am going to start with the sensing types, which are so underrepresented in our community. But beyond that, we'll have a little bit of flexibility. So we all know what makes assessment difficult, all these things, but there is one aspect that remains the same, and that's the physical body. So what I'm going to be looking at in here, what we are going to be looking at, is body language. And this is body language that I pretty much, I haven't developed this exclusively on my own. Originally, Paul Tieker used to give a presentation on this. It was great, but it was the 4 preferences. It wasn't the functions. Mary McGinnis, we all have a book by her in the packet. She's got a wonderful aspect in that booklet, the sidebars, talk about the childhood of each type. And so, in addition to the physical presentation, well, there's the JP dimension. Thank you, Isabel Myers, for that. Gives us a lot of body language clues. You already know that. We're not going to talk about it. We are going to talk about the 8 functions, and I'm just going to briefly mention that childhood is a really important time because that's before we have developed. So the videos that I use are, they're raw, they're selfie videos that I get on YouTube. If you ever thought psychological type was dying, go to YouTube. It's incredible because these young people making their selfie videos, they're very savvy. They actually know the 8 functions. Some of them know the Beatty model, although you never hear his name mentioned, but they'll say, well, you know, that's my eighth and least conscious function. So where are they getting that? I don't know. But 8 functions. Why? Why does knowing the 8 functions help us? Why is it important? And I think it's important because the 8 functions are what we tend to project onto other people. Now we project them in 2 ways, either a demonizing projection or an idealizing projection. Either way, we aren't living with the reality of the person. So if we can get past our projections and just see what is there, that's my goal. Now, I use these terms just to help my students because it's a little bit easier than, you know, introverted this and extroverted that. You probably have your own terms. I also use color coding that I think, you know, might help you a little bit along the way. But I want to show you what the 8 functions can look like if they're projected. Introverted sensation. Is there anybody in here with introverted sensing? Hypervigilant paranoid. Extroverted sensation. Self-indulgent narcissist. Oh, let's just taste everything. Let's do some drugs. You know, this is a projection now. This is you know, our mind's on steroids when we're in major projection. Extroverted intuition, lying, spin doctor. That's my favorite function. So when I'm going into one of these extroverted intuitive random flights, some people are going to look at me and say, oh, she's just confabulating, and you're probably right. Introverted intuition, messianic charlatan. Those introverted intuitives know everything, and it's so irritating, isn't it? So extroverted thinking, tyrannical micromanager. Introverted thinking, callous, cynic. Extroverted feeling, networking sycophant. And my all-time favorite, my auxiliary function, sanctimonious zealot. I own that one. So these are just my terms for this. It's not really going to be part of the presentation, just to give you my reasoning, how we can put our own spin on these things. And the further down the function is in our function stack, the more likely we are to project. So I'm going to talk about sensation first. And I have these 2 images. The extroverted sensing person is actually in the whitewater raft having a great time. And then the introverted sensation person is recalling that experience. So one of your handouts has all of the visual and verbal clues that I'm going to refer to today. There are probably others. I would love your feedback on this if you have edits to make. This will be in my book, which is coming out in 2020, Routledge. But I think if you start to look at these, the cheat sheet is a little bit easier. The cheat sheet tells you quickly. I don't think you're going to have to refer to the long table during the videos. I think if you just look at the video, you should just say what comes to mind for you. And I suspect a lot comes to mind, even more than what is on this sheet. But I'm letting you have it just for take home. So the attire, the pace, these are, especially the pace, is such an easy way to see the difference between an introverted sensing dominant and extroverted sensing dominant. None of these is always true of every single person, but quite often there's some validity to it. Introverted sensing is slow because introverted sensing has to go back in time through all the records of memory to verify something. So it takes a while. So I'm going to show you now. You can look at just this picture. You can almost tell so much from just the still image, can't you? I mean, you can almost see her type right there, wearing a white sort of lab coat looking thing. This something about the eyes. So now listen to what she says, and I'm going to let you tell me what elements of introverted sensation you see. Let's see.
Things that they find interesting. They're usually, they usually like being pretty punctual for the most part. Okay, so our type, how other types can perceive us is you just give me an impression of being aloof or cold. We're usually not that emotionally warm because we'll get like super tired from people and our energy will go down. At least for me, like, yeah, it happens a lot. We like step-by-step approaches. We don't like people throwing things at us and just being like, figure it out. We like taking things one step at a time, and it has to be shown to work, a procedure. It can't just be like, oh, try out a new procedure. No, it's like, we need to know that this has worked before and that it can work. What else? We get easily frustrated by inconsistencies in others.
Okay. Yeah.
I have one concern though is that she's telling us about a type rather than simply revealing her own type of preferences in communication, and that's something which I slightly worry about.
Okay, what is your worry about that?
Well, because I think that she already has an opinion. She is this type, and she's going to tell you why she's this type, and as a result, it's not organically coming out in the flow of conversation.
But I think the point of what Carol's trying to do is not so much listening to what she's saying, but the things about the body language, the prosody of what she's saying, rather than that content. And I think that's one of the things that's really important when you're doing group facilitations is to talk about how it was done, not just what was done. And
She is inadvertently revealing so much about.
And I wonder if she wouldn't naturally want to do that, but that gives her a vehicle. You know, it gives her, like this last group that we talked about, that gives them a vehicle to represent themselves, and it protects the self then. Because she can use the terminology. I wonder
So
why.
one of the reasons I like to use young people is because they are in this time of exploring their personalities. And they happen to get lost excesses of their type. They're actually enjoying excesses. So what do you see in her Yeah.
I love her eyes in this because it's like she's looking inside.
Yeah.
She's really not looking at the camera even. She's sort of glazing at the camera, but her gaze is internal.
Yes.
And it's lovely, and she might be reading something, some of those bits where we like this and that, or we do these things, but there's a way that she's kind of examining and reliving her own experiences with those to verify, validate that yes, that's true for me also.
Right.
And I think her eye movement and her pause of how she speaks defines the step-by-step process.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. She is very step-by-step procedural. Yeah, you want to add
Well,
something?
one thing I'll say is that there's a clear lack of emotional affect.
Yeah.
She draws attention to it, but she's also showing it as well as telling us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, like if I hadn't been listening to the content of what she was saying and talking about like her talking about being punctual, etc., I think I would have guessed her as a TI dominant type though. Almost because of the lack of like eye contact and almost like
Not random enough.
no.
There is a difference. There is a difference. I will play some TI dominance, and I think you will see the difference. But you're right. There is that flat affect.
But to clarify too, this is them speaking into the computer, not to a person, right?
What?
This I just want to clarify.
I assume she's speaking into the computer. You know, some of the videos that I use, they're talking to another person, but usually they're making a selfie, talking about themselves.
You're not seeing any gestures at
Yeah.
all, are you?
Right.
You expect to see something move somewhere, but it's all sort of self-contained.
Right.
Even her hair is quite perfectly.
But when she moved her hair, I mean, that was the image.
And very deliberate.
Yeah.
So, these are the things that I look for there, that I see. Now, after I show a documentary video, I always show a fiction video. I hope nobody is insulted in here. I find that the documentary videos will actually put students to sleep because it's so much work focusing on them. Whereas film fiction shows you excesses of personalities in a kind of amusing way. And sometimes it's a little easier to remember it. And I will say, the one I have on ENFP, my type is, not particularly flattering, but a lot of fun. And I think the gift that you gave us is that we get to see ourselves as other people see us. And this is one way we can use this. So this is from Accidental Tourist, based on a book by Ann Tyler. And I'll see what you think of this.
Things that they find.
There. Oh. That's so classic. Going, but he's so still, I didn't notice it.
Macon Leary. You a Baltimore man? Yes, me too. Greatest city on the earth. One of these seats is not really enough for me. The stupid thing is, I travel for a living. I demonstrate software to computer stores. What do you do, Mr. Leary?
I write travel guidebooks.
Is that so? What kind?
Well, guides for businessmen. People just like you, I guess.
Accidental tourist.
I guess.
Really? And look at this. Gray suit, just what you recommend. Appropriate for all occasions. See my luggage? Carry-on. Change of underwear, clean shirt, packet of detergent powder.
Oh, good.
You're my hero. You've improved my trips 100%. I tell my wife, going with the accidental tourist is like going in a cocoon.
Well, this is very nice to hear.
Times I've flown clear to Oregon and hardly knew I left Baltimore.
Excellent.
I book for protection now? Didn't work with me though, did it?
Look at that expression. He's trying to use extroverted feeling. So, any comments on that?
I like his such his like low, like that's really great.
Monotone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Jung says that introverted sensing moderates everything. If something is too high, they lower it. If it's too low, they bring it up. So Jung says this type has moderation to excess, which sounds like an oxymoron, but somehow all of the functions can be brought to excess. All of the attributes can be brought into excess, including moderation.
Isn't there in Romeo and Juliet, isn't there lines about moderation?
Oh, yeah, I think there's something in Hamlet. I think it's Polonius's advice in Hamlet, you know.
Yeah.
To thine own self be true, all of that. Anything else about ISTJs and travel? What do you know about ISTJs and travel?
Well, they're very accomplished with packing, organising, all that list that he reflected back to the very ISTJ.
Right. What about ISTJs and home? ISTJs really love home.
It's their
They put down deep roots at home. So they are really happy in their own
Cocoon.
house, in their own neighborhood.
In the cocoon, yeah.
So travel can be painful for them. I have a young ISTJ friend who has a much faster pace than this, but he's very clear that he's ISTJ, and I am too. So are his parents, who both use type. And he happens to be in Silicon Valley now. Fabulous job, wonderful life, married, children, his in-laws live out there, but he still misses North Carolina. And I'm looking at that and going, wow, you know. And he said, oh yes. I said, do you have nostalgia? And he said, I'm crippled by nostalgia. Yeah.
My dad was an ISTJ, and my mom she wanted to travel all the time.
Speak up so they can hear you.
My dad was an ISTJ, and he wouldn't go. He went here. My mom went about 20 times, and he wouldn't go. He said he was there in the war, and he didn't want to go back. And my mom said, they're not shooting at you anymore, but it didn't matter. And we'd get her in the car, and he'd stand on the curb and say goodbye. What if I die while you're gone? And my mom would say, well, someone will find you, and away she'd go. But he'd stand there, and he just wouldn't go.
There's the hypervigilant paranoia. But introverted sensation, I call it the memory keeper. I mean, I can well imagine what it would be like for an ISTJ to have to go back to a place where war was. I mean, this is their favorite function, the memory function. They love dwelling on those memories, and it brings back so much vivid emotion and pleasure. I thought of this, and Claire Ayer's talk on grief got into that too, about how difficult grief can be for introverted sensing types, and I think it's because their favorite function suddenly throws them back into memories of a lost loved one. So I saw that in my father, ISTJ, and I think any of us, when we're in grief, I think we're somehow sunk into our introverted sensing function because we're just somehow consumed by memories of the lost loved one. But some of the amusing ways I see this play out, and I saw it in my father, who traveled all the time, but when he was home, and he traveled all over the world, he loved to eat, but when he was home, he wanted to eat at franchise restaurants because he knew the menu.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to present with Bob McAlpin, ISTJ colleague, and I learned never to let him pick the restaurants because he would always go to something like Burger King or something, just because he knew it. So what happens when extroverted thinking is dominant? So you switch it. The ESTJ, I think the individual then takes the initiative in directing people. I call extroverted thinking the director or the directing function. It's sort of our air traffic controller. And it's also the planning function. I like to use this image of Eisenhower's plan for the Normandy invasion, which is so precise, so clear, but it's also very directive. And I love this quote from him. Preparing for battle, plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. It shows that he was not in excess in his type. He understood that it could be excessive. And I just pulled up this image because Shirley mentioned that she thought a great image for introverted thinking was fractals, and I said, yes. So I pulled this image up. I had a different one. So these are my two images for extroverted thinking and introverted thinking. Another way to think about them is extroverted thinking is directive and introverted thinking is indirect. Okay, now let's listen to this girl.
Number one kind of value is like work ethic and efficiency and getting stuff done. I'm just really good at getting stuff done. I love getting stuff done. I love being in charge and being the leader and being in control. And also for the whole like control thing, it's kind of a pride thing, but it's also a real thing. I've experienced so many times that people they slack off, they don't do their work, and they're not on the same page as I am about like turning in excellent work. And so like probably starting in like middle school or high school, I just decided like, okay, I'm just gonna take over all the group projects, pretend to give different jobs to different people, but actually like do most of the work because I just don't trust other people. Also, that's one of my flaws where like I'm bad at like involving other people in it because I just don't care. Like if someone's feelings get hurt, I don't care because the end goal is just finishing the project. And I went to Thailand this past summer with a guy who is an ENFJ, and he told me that in a group project situation, his number one goal, like starting off, is to make everyone feel included. And when he said that, I was just like, what? Like it was such a bizarre concept to me because as an ESTJ, like I don't care. The one thing that like
I just don't care.
She's beautiful. So, any comments on that?
Speed.
That speed. Energy. Oh my God, the energy, the extroverted thinking, dominant types is just, I mean, it's infectious.
Or it's a steamroller.
Yes.
She's charming.
Yeah, I mean, just the voice volume, too, is so much higher than ISTJ. Yeah.
Not to split hairs again, but just like, I'm wondering how you would distinguish that if she hadn't been talking specifically about how much she loves order from like an SE dominant type. Because to me, like the high energy and the kind of like very quick, almost like, to me it didn't seem super linear the way she was speaking. Like it was kind of like excitable. So I'm just wondering like, aside from the subject, what might be like a different part?
For me, it seems very linear because of her gestures, which are very linear. And I do have some extroverted sensing. I have an ESTP coming up, female. So you can see the gestures are very different, and the energy is really very different. I think you will see it.
Actually, just going back to Sue earlier today, I felt like the full stop was there opposed to the comma. You know, she was saying what she was saying very direct.
Right.
It wasn't flowing. It was
right.
Did it?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitive.
Yeah. Everything was about finishing shit. She was like, I'm just going to make shit happen here. I get out of my way.
Yeah, I think It's interesting because you're right about the extroverted sensation, but I have thought about this over and over. Extroverted thinking is an action-oriented function. And they are not happy if there isn't action.
And they're both down in that ES quadrant,
Yeah.
where it's the let's do it. And it's what kind of let's do it is this? And as Marky said, it's a very definite, get it done kind of let's do it.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to see is also the contrast with the ENTJ, because one thing I've noticed about extra sensation is going to be very high in the ENTJ types as well. They'll embody a great deal of physical energy.
Yes.
So what it looks is that with an ENTJ shows the same action-orientedness you talk about.
Yes, it's a really good point. I do have an ENTJ further down. If you want to look at it, I can bring it up higher. I'll try to show it before we leave the room. Right now, I'll stick with the sensing types. And I want to show you the film clip that I really like for ESTJ. Does anybody know West Wing? So there's this character in West Wing, Ainsley. She's from the South. She's got a little Southern accent. And Rob Lowe plays her boss. And,
Could I have it?
Yes.
Thank you. You reversed my position.
Yeah.
I gave this to you to summarize, and you didn't summarize it so much as you reversed my position.
I gave it a little polish, yeah.
You reversed my position.
It's shorter.
It is shorter, and you reversed my position.
Your position was wrong.
Can you step inside, please?
Sure. Sam, half of America's workforce is employed by small business. That's companies that employ fewer than 100 workers.
I know what a small business is.
Do you know that a third of them fail? 1/3 of all small businesses lose money and fail. Not because of rent hikes or big chains squeezing them out, but because of why?
Employee fraud.
That's right.
Yes.
What do you say to that?
You reversed my position.
Other than that, Sam, other than what you've been saying for the last hour and a half.
I can't believe I'm listening to a Republican tell me the government should run background checks and impede business. In fact, I can't believe I'm listening to a Republican. Could it possibly be that most of the people you want to fingerprint have darker skin than you do?
Well, not to let the facts interfere with a good story, but 80% of violators are white. Fraudulent employees are 3 times more likely to be married. They're 4 times more likely to be men, 16 times more likely to be managers and executives. And guess what, Professor? They're 5 times more likely to have postgraduate degrees.
You listen, I can't. All right. Start from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you eating that donut?
Take the donut. Start from the beginning. The Commerce Department wants us to back an amendment to a bill that would help small businesses with fraud prevention and employee theft. We want to recommend it. You have numbers? Yeah. This is from an independent study that I have faith in. 30% of workers plan to steal from their employers. 30% give in to occasional temptation. 5% will commit fraud regardless of circumstance. 85% will commit fraud given the right circumstances.
Just out of curiosity, what are the right
Need, opportunity, and the ability to rationalize their behavior. It's called the fraud triangle. Yeah, it's going to help us out when we want to raise the minimum wage. It's the small business owners who are most opposed to wage hikes.
You weren't going to go the other way on this?
Yeah, I was.
You got turned around?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
what I love about that is that he actually learns from her. And he just puts on her persona.
Yeah.
And then, boy, it passes. And what Sue Blair was saying about ESTJs have that confidence, I mean, that's a great thing to simulate. Or to actually have if you have the real thing. What did you notice, or what would you want to comment on that?
I love that she was right, and she stayed right, and she never doubted that she was right. She just, I'm right about this, and I'm gonna basically tell you about all the reasons why I'm right until you agree with me.
Yeah, she didn't stop, that's for sure. Yeah.
And also, rather than being just self-evident statements, it was, these are the facts. They're giving you actual data, so you can see the reasons why statistically it has to be there.
And what function does that relate to?
Introverted sensing.
Introverted sensing. It is a sequencing function. It is a sort of numbering function, I think. At least that's how I understand it. Yes, Sue.
So it's possibly the only ESTJ in the room. I'm not too sure. Yeah, but
Yes, please.
just to say that we're not always as confident as we come across.
Inside, it may not be that.
It doesn't. We can't help ourselves. We're compelled to come across especially in a professional setting. But it doesn't mean that we're as confident
But
as.
boy, is this a
sound.
data point for your comment about that? Because this is her first day on the job.
This is her first day?
This is her first day.
I love her.
First day.
I think she gets today too.
But I think that introverted sensing shows up in the numbers, all the numbers, just one number after another after another. So, anything else? And the certainty, introverted sensing function, that function seeks certainty. It wants certainty and security and stability. And there's nothing more certain than a number. It can't be anything else. It's not fuzzy.
I think even when she wasn't speaking at the very end, right, her eye contact as well from the posturing, it was still definitive directly.
The eye contact, the square posture, the definitive statements, yes. And directive, telling her boss what to do. Okay, now here, this one may not be as good, this is good a representation of ESFJs as I would like to have, but maybe there's something here that's worthwhile in the fact that I'll just play it and you tell me what you think. It's very hard to find ESFJs online talking about themselves.
Another quality of being an ESFJ is enjoying being in charge. ESFJs are also described as caretakers who sense danger and are excellent protectors. I believe that mixing up all these qualities together and having the perfect balance will be of great use for a position as a resident assistant. Seeing clearly and delegating easily is important when you're trying to build a relationship with someone, because how will you build a relationship with someone if you don't delegate, if you're not open to them? It is also very important to show that you're willing to serve others and work hard so that they can see what you're really capable of. Another important thing is being a caretaker. And why is being a caretaker so important? Well, because if you give your residents a sense of comfort, it will encourage them when they're having a hard time to open up about their problems with you. It is also very important to sense danger.
Okay. Anything jump out at you, Catherine? We have another.
Well, that's a very robotic lack of emotional affect.
But it felt controlled.
She's very controlled. Yeah, and that worries me a little bit.
She was reading.
But there is one aspect about, I think it's very telling in a certain aspect of ESFJs. Yes.
I see her talking with her hands and I know the facial expressions. Give me.
Oh, good.
What was it?
Thank you. She
Was
said
she-
she's talking with her hands.
Yeah.
A lot.
And she's got the huge smile.
Big smile.
True. Now, what about the content? What about that clues you in? I mean, for me,
It was all about being the hostess.
Yeah.
She's the, I
And
mean,
the
they're like the
caretaker.
international hostess of the world. She's
yeah,
just-
and the thing about being a good caretaker, you can't, it's all connected with delegating, and I'm like, there's no logic, there's no cause and effect. She'll say this because that, and this because that. She's making her case, but there is no logic.
It connects for
in
her,
the
though.
case. It does connect for her, and it's interesting that ENFJs tend to be more persuasive, but ESFJs are the ones you want to have around us, caretakers and party. I mean, you want ENFJs too for parties, actually. But I think ESFJs sometimes lack a little bit of confidence because they're sort of aware that there's some sort of logic missing for them. And I think ENFJs completely sound logical. no matter what they say. I don't know, that's my distinction between them.
Sometimes when I'm with SFJs, I get the sense that they're almost posturing because they've like seen someone else do it and they're sort of repeating it.
That's a good point.
And that's the sense I got from her.
They do learn by imitating other people, and they do like the step-by-step procedures. That's a really good point.
She was sort of playing a role, like it's almost like she had to contain herself a little because she was reading. She was clearly reading, but she was trying to put a little, energy into it. But she was nervous because she was reading.
Right.
And there she was trying to look like she's this really friendly, open person sitting on the lawn, with her legs crossed.
Right. Yeah.
But then she was nervous.
Yeah, and there is ESFJs are, control is huge for ESFJs.
And I think she naturally wanted to do a lot of this, but she kept her.
She's controlling herself.
Yeah.
Because she's a get things going. She would have liked to have been jumping around a little bit more.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Who knows what the job description for the RA says?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe she's
It's all
actually
about
doing what's
caretaking and
appropriate
delegating.
Right.
Which was interesting that she said that she really likes to be in charge.
Yeah.
I really go back through it. I don't think ESFJ is in charge. Okay.
But they're in charge like mother hens.
And that's another reason I like this, because ESFJs do like to be in charge.
Like mother hens.
They really do.
Yes.
They have mother hen is a good way to think about them.
Yeah.
They really enjoy that, and sometimes they can be really surprised by the fact that people they're in charge of are not under control.
Yeah. Or don't appreciate it.
Don't appreciate it. Don't appreciate it. Yeah. So the film I used for this one, it shows some aspects of this. This is from Legally Blonde with Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon in this film, she has been in college with her boyfriend. They're both graduating, and she's expecting that he's going to give her a ring and they're going to get married. And he gives her this, well, it's been wonderful, Elle, and I'm going off to law school at Harvard. Bye. So he dumps her. She is so horrified by that. Extra feeling dominant, was not what she was expecting. So here is her response. Come on, is that not going to play? There.
Wish me luck, Bruiser. This is my first class as a serious law student. Totally look the part.
Totally look the part.
Winner? I totally forgot you got here.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry, are you here to see me?
No, silly. I go here.
You go where?
Harvard. Law school.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard? Oh my gosh, Warner, it's gonna be so great. I'm planning this great mixer. You totally have to help me. I'm thinking like a luau, or maybe like casino night. This is gonna be just like senior year, except for funner. Oh, time to go. I have to go to class, but meet me after on the benches, okay? All right, bye.
Very clear ability to think about
Can you turn that off?
a very clear motivation to come across a certain way to others.
Yeah.
And the ability to readily convey new emotions in the moment to have an effect on a particular person in that moment.
Yes, yes. An ability to really have an influence on the emotional temperature
Yes.
in the environment. What aspect makes me think, I mean, of course, these are film characters, they could be anything, but what aspect do you think shows introverted sensation as an auxiliary? Yeah.
Careful management of aesthetic to support the image she's trying to create.
Oh, good. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? I haven't even thought of that until, I mean, except from what you earlier said, but yeah.
Yeah, I think when you see how she arrives and she has the culture all figured out, and, you know, she gives him all that information. Well, of course, you know, didn't you know?
Okay, she's got the culture all figured out.
Absolutely, I think
So,
she does.
for
And
me-
as you say, she fits. She
looks
put
the part.
herself- She looks the part.
Well,
She's
she looks
gonna-
her version of
Yeah.
the part.
her version of the part.
Which is a
And
great
she
expression
arrives.
of
Oh, yeah.
really misunderstanding. I mean, her extroverted feeling is trying to look
Yes.
the part, but it's a great example of play acting when you're
Yes.
mimicking and it
Yeah.
isn't true. It isn't true for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and so she's still herself, and it comes through in these clothes and so forth.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does she talk about with him? That for me, what clues her in is what she talks about with Werner.
Parties.
Parties, and not just any parties, but it will be just like
Just
senior
like, yeah.
traditions.
Mhm.
Traditions.
Yes,
ESFJs love holidays. They love traditions. They love, if you go into an ESFJ home, they have little pictures and mementos, photographs, and, you know, little signs, and everything has that memento quality for them. That everything has meaning in that aesthetic that you were talking about, the aesthetic image is personally meaningful.
Carol, she was also quite bossy at the end.
Yes! Yes, she was. Yeah, fearlessly so.
Mm-hmm.
So now, moving into extroverted sensation. This is the hare versus the introverted sensing tortoise, because they move faster. And again, I'm only talking about this function in the dominant. It has some of these qualities in the auxiliary too, but pace is something that pretty much relates to the dominant function of the game. So maybe the extroversion. So, don't fence me in is the motto I think of for extroverted sensing types. And ESTPs is what we're going to look at. Cash Cady, a colleague of ours, ESTP colleague, has a book out on presidential leaders, and he makes a great case for Andrew Jackson being an ESTP president. And he points out that he fought 138 duels before he became president. Now, what does that have to do with extroverted sensing? Well, it's physical. And there is an unwillingness to be constrained among ESTPs, and I think it also connects with the introverted thinking, doesn't like restrictions. So we're going to see this in this young woman next. You tell me what you think, what you notice.
Hey there guys, it's Emily, and I'm an ESTP. What is an ESTP, Emily? Well, I'm glad you asked. It is my personality type. E is for extroversion, or an extrovert. S is for sensing. T is for thinking, and P is for perceiving. The test I took to get these results, I may pronounce this wrong, is called Open Extended Jungian, I swear it says Jungian, type scales. Each of those 4 things I listed make up me, well, at least my personality. As far as I can tell, some guy called Myers-Briggs did a study on these personality types, and because of him I even have a description of my personality. ESTPs are hands-on learners who live in the moment, seeking the best life, wanting to share it with their friends. The ESTP is open to situations and able to improvise to bring about the desired result. They are active people who want to solve their problems rather than just talk about them. Think I'm down for that description? Wikipedia also has a list of other characteristics, and I'm pretty sure I'm quite a few of those. The word blunt is in there. There is a point to this. Do you know how introverts can only spend so much time around people before having to be on their own and recharge their batteries? Being an extrovert is the opposite. I need to be with people. But this week I've pretty much been going a bit mad because all my friends are not here. They've either gone to uni, moved away, or had a baby and can't make time to see poor little me. And no, my family members do not count as friends and something I can recharge my batteries off. So, you know, if you see me moping on social media, it's because I'm feeling very lonely at the moment. Another example of this unfortunate thing.
One thing that's quite unusual about this is how much he's edited
Yes,
this video.
exactly.
To make it look good.
It gives the
Well,
impression
to make it faster.
And to make it look good.
It's not fast enough with the, you know, she's got to take out every pause.
She made it look very good. Like it's. I mean, even though it jerks a little, there's an aesthetic that she was after.
Yeah.
She's got a very active physicality to her
Yes.
the whole time. She's kind of doing that tennis hop thing.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I'm ready.
Yes.
I love that she's like, and that's me. You know.
Yeah, there's that performance attribute of extroverted sensation.
Right.
That's true. I didn't even notice that.
Her eye
Good
makeup
point.
is beautiful. Like
Yes.
she's got a whole look that she's working there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also heard the auxiliary introverted thinking and things like, well, you know, family members, you know, they're not friends. I need to be clear on that.
Yes. Very true.
I'm going to be defining this for you. You better get it.
Right. Very true.
And it wasn't about her friend Z either. It was about I like the way she colour coordinated the whole thing with her hair and her background and the wall.
And her notebook with all the colors in the notebook. Yes. It's all color coordinated.
Well, and just her willingness to take a little bit of information and just run with it and explain Jungian and that guy Myers-Briggs.
And not caring if it's right.
And she was just rolling.
Yes. It's such a contrast with that first young woman in white who is so slow but gets everything absolutely right on her video, and she's brand new to this, brand new to Myers-Briggs, and she gets everything right. It's a very long, boring video, unfortunately, but you do see that expressed.
And if you didn't know anything, you would just believe what she says, right?
Yeah. Because she said it so confidently. This guy Myers-Briggs.
Right.
He did the study.
Yeah. So, fast-paced, animated, colorful, casual, about facts. And I like this scene of Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. You can see the colorful attire and the unconventionality of it. And fast-paced. Oh, come on. Wow, we're meant to be together. What you only dream about, wow, we're meant to. Oh, yes, they do. You tell me you want a woman who is simple as a flower. Well, if you want me to act like that, you got to pay me by the hour. How women do if they don't be ready. Wow, women show what they're going through. Oh, yeah. Wow, women do.
May I help you? I'm just checking things out. Are you looking for something in particular? No, well, yeah. Something conservative. Yes. You got my stuff. Thank you. How much is this? I don't think this would fit you. Well,
I didn't ask if it would fit, I asked how much it was.
How much is this, Marie?
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
Look, I got money to spend in here.
I don't think we have anything for you. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave.
Sorry, I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me?
Oh.
You work on commission, right?
Yes.
Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
I love this because this reflects, I think, how a lot of people can misjudge this type. But what do you think?
She was completely absorbed in all the sensory details. I mean, she was just everything
Walking around,
interesting that
touching
came up, she was just going
she's
for
like,
it.
yes.
It was fascinating to watch.
Saleswomen didn't like that.
Even when she was walking down the street, all the little things that sparkled, she was
She was noticing
saw
everything. So observant, really.
She had a body confidence too that was lovely.
Yes. And she radiated impulsivity.
Yeah.
And that opportunism, as it were, of seeing something and going in and wanting it.
Impulsivity and also enjoyment.
Yes.
Enjoyment of the immediate moment and the sensory pleasures around you every moment. That's what makes ESTP so much fun to be around. And ESFP.
I'm not sure I saw the introverted thinking, though. I'm not really sure from this whether she be ESTP or ESFP.
Okay.
I was actually going to say, my sister's an ESTP, and she has this unbelievable way of sticking it to people.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
And ESFP, in my opinion, I have some ESFP friends, and they are so gracious, and they smile and just, they're so polite. But ESTPs are, are really, not only, also, ESTPs are good negotiators, good shoppers and good negotiators. If you want somebody to help you buy a car, take an ESTP with you. They are fearless about negotiating the price.
And she pushed back when it's like, oh, well,
Yes.
I didn't ask whether it would fit me, I asked how much it would cost.
Right. I don't think in the ESFP, I've never seen an ESFP do that. And ESFPs get insulted quite a lot, too.
But they smile and go away.
They do. And then they get revenge behind the scenes. But ESTPs are more
They're in your face.
direct about
Yeah,
it.
no, they do.
What about the colors? I mean, interesting, isn't it? That, I mean, she was very colorful, and then she decided to dress conservatively. She's trying to dress like an introverted sensing type, wearing all white.
But she still looks like she's totally flash. She's,
There's black and white, and then there's black and
Yeah,
white.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely true.
And those large
That
buttons.
hat.
Yeah.
That's not, yeah. Extroverted sensing types love to make an impact, visual impression especially. Yeah.
Maybe you can help me make sense of this. When my sister's trying to exert control because things feel out of control for her, which is a lot, but they're really out of control when they're out of control for her. Her control almost looks SJ-ish. It comes across very conventional and orderly.
Wow. Say more about that. I actually.
That sounds to me a bit like the interaction style, the
That's the
in-charge
interaction
interaction
style.
style coming out of
It's
the
the
ESTP and ESTJ showing.
Yeah.
And I think ESTP mimics ESTJ when they think they're supposed, like, they're more likely, I think, to flip between ENTJ and ESTJ in terms of mimicking, in my experience, because they know that that's what it's supposed to look like when you're in charge of stuff.
I think it's because ESTPs are so heavily extroverted that it almost pulls the T in the extroverted direction sometimes, and it comes out like ESTJ.
The thing that I notice and it really jumps out at me in ESTPs is this absolute resistance to rules. You know, God help you if you have an ESTP kid, you know, because they are pushing the envelope all the time, and those rules, those kind of restrictions, that's where I see the introverted thinking, because introverted thinking thinks outside the box. It doesn't like the restrictions of policies and procedures.
With the nitpicking piece, it's like, okay, so Alan Turing, the computer genius, looks at a form about the Home Guard, the reserves here during the Second World War, and it says, do you acknowledge that you are basically required to serve Home Guard duty? And he didn't check that box. So then they came to him and they said, well, you acknowledge this? And he said, no, I didn't. And they said, well, yes, you did. And he said, no, take a look at my form. I'm not serving you. So that ability to take the rules and use the rules against the rule makers.
Yes. Literalizing. Well, extroverted sensation is very literal function. It reads everything very literally. And then combined with that introverted thinking. And what I see in ESTPs as children, boy, you can really punish them easily by putting them in timeout. They hate it. Whereas my type, you know, I could be in timeout all day. But the way this shows up too, really right into adulthood and into, you know, later ages, is a kind of claustrophobia in a small space. I mean, they can get very claustrophobic if an elevator gets stuck, or if this is more true of ESTPs than ESFPs, but extroverted sensing with feeling also have some of this. And they also, the worst moments from childhood are when they were forced to stay inside, you know, and do some quiet thing. But they couldn't run around.
One of the things I like about her outfits is that even when she's wearing her her streetwalker outfit, she looks amazing in it. You know, of course, she's got a great body and all that, but it really works for her.
Yeah.
And then when she goes and she buys the other stuff, that it really works for her.
I know.
And like, there's a way that, you know, we know it's a movie, it's all a script and all that stuff, but there's a way that she embodies her clothing.
Yes.
That she really owns it all very physically in this beautiful way.
Tremendous comfort is that look
Yeah.
and comfort of sort of being seen, being out there seeing everything and being seen.
And unself-conscious about it all. She was completely unaware that what she was wearing in the first part was strange for that environment.
Yeah, totally. I think that comes from introverted thinking somewhat too. That sort of obliviousness to the peer pressure and sort of standard attire. Yeah.
As an ESTP, I think the problem.
Are you an ESTP?
Yeah,
oh my
the
God.
problem with the rules and whatnot is it's subjective TI versus objective TI. So when you see the girl when she's putting that into her framework, but she hasn't quite fine-tuned her TI framework on the the definitions involved, you know, the judgment still has to be made, and so there can be inaccuracy. Whereas the other one, she's already created that external framework; it's objective. Whereas that's a subjective internal framework. Now, when it comes to rules, the rules are fine if they make sense according to my subjective network. My framework of rules, if it makes sense, I'll do it. If I see it's a danger to others, not so much to myself, but yeah, it's. I work in oilfield construction, and we cheat all the time, always breaking safety rules, because you're not going to get shit done. You know what I mean? And it's what I can understand it, and I respect it to a certain degree, but it can be worked around.
Yes. I have an ISTP friend, and in his office he's got rules. What rules? We're here to get something done, just like what you said. Well, this is great. We have Exhibit A here. Look at how he's moving in his chair.
I know.
Yeah.
My caffeine.
what do you remember about your childhood? What?
Oh, just happy fun. You know what I mean?
Happy
Just-
fun.
I can't imagine the STP not having a fun
Right,
childhood.
right.
Even if it's a shitty home environment,
Right.
you can
Yeah.
forget it, go have some fun.
And these are, of course, the types that are the most popular in high school, and we all envy them because they just have this ease of enjoying the world without ever worrying about consequences or having any regrets about what they did last night. You know, no casting back in the past and no thinking too much about the future. It's just a great ability to be in the moment. But what was your worst punishment as a child? Or in school?
Leather belt, violence works. That's a good one. They don't have to do it much. Just,
Leather
yeah.
belt?
You're gonna get it. How can you not? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to ask you about. We'll go on to the next one.
I have a question, just a quick. Do you think the reaction of her just turning around and leaving is typical for an ESTP?
Yeah, I was gonna say she would have engaged on that. There's no way you walk away. There's no way.
I mean, I know it's
Okay.
No way. Yeah, when she walked away, I was like, that's funky.
I mean, she did in the end retaliate, but I don't think that was planned that far.
Right,
you know,
right.
it
Yeah,
was
I had
like,
that thought originally.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
You wait and see.
That's almost more ISTP, potentially. You know what I mean? Not to engage, but, you know, it's got to come out of your mouth. There's no way you're going to hold that.
Okay.
When she does
Yes.
that.
Yes, it will come out
It's
of your
on.
mouth. I think
Yeah.
that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Great. Let's look at the next one. So that's there are no rules here. We're trying to accomplish something. Now we're looking at the ISTP, and she speaks very quietly, so we're going to have to listen hard.
I was very young. People, when they first saw me, I don't remember this very well, but my mom tells me about it. When they would see me, they would think I was like this really, really sweet little girl, you know, because I looked cute hair and everything like that, you know, and I'd smile, you know, sometimes, but I had a very strong will, so I would get into fights with my parents all the time when I was younger. And I mean, everyone does when they're young, but they would last for like hours.
Oh my gosh.
Like over 6 hours sometimes, like an entire day. We would just be fighting all day long, and I would not do anything that they wanted me to do. And I was also very serious, and I didn't like other people like touching me. I would be all nice, and then someone would come up, even when I was like a baby, and someone would try and be like, "Oh, you're so sweet," and they'd try and touch me, and then I'd just like freeze.
Little
So- Yeah, so that's when I was very young. But then I kind of got to a point where I've always been kind of introspective, I guess. And I don't remember how old I was, but I kind of decided that I didn't want to feel anything. Because, you know, I'd get angry at my parents or whatever, and I would be very, I don't want to say physically violent, because I wouldn't attack people, but I would, like, be throwing myself on the ground and kicking and stuff like that. And obviously, people would say that was, they would try and teach me not to do that. They'd be like, that's not good, you know what I mean? And so I kind of And also I would be afraid of things. I was afraid of dogs, you know, because I felt like they were going to bite me or whatever.
Oh, sorry. Henry's not gonna bite you.
Well, even little dogs, you know, I just was afraid of dogs, you know, and I felt like that was a very useless to have these feelings, you know what I mean? No one else liked them. I didn't really like them. And so I kind of decided to not feel anything at one point in my life.
Interesting.
Wow. Useless feelings.
The cadence of her talk, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
What did you notice about that? It would start slow and then it would kind of build and then it would kind of die off and then she'd pause for a while and it would kind of come and go like a wave.
Huge long pauses. Huge. Yeah.
Both the rejection of emotion in terms of emotional feelings and tantrums, but also a great personal sensitivity in there.
Yes.
She easily feels discomfort at certain situations or fear towards certain things, but not wanting that to be expressed in her
Right.
emotionality.
Right.
Natural stoics. They probably invented stoicism.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true. You can see it
Yeah.
every time
And
she
the way
starts talking.
her eyes lit up for just a little bit when she was like, "Oh, they thought I was a nice, sweet little child."
Yeah, she gets
Like,
this, she gets
that
this
extroverted-
impish grin, and then it immediately disappears.
Yeah.
She's back in her head.
It seems like some of the extroverted sense to me. Some of that.
I think you're right. What aspects of introverted thinking did you see?
That she decided that she just wasn't going to feel anymore, like that was a useless thing. What was it getting me? It was a very sort of logical, like it's just not really getting me anything that I want, so I'm going to just stop.
She was reconciling multiple frames of reference for its usefulness. So her experience of it, her perception of other people's experience of it, and coming at kind of like a conclusion about its usefulness.
Yeah.
Right, it needs to be utilitarian. She doesn't want it. Yeah.
What I saw in her, her eyes went up, she went into her head to look for the next
Yes. The eyes, and this is what I see again and again with introverted thinking. The eyes go right and up and left and up and right, and that's when they're thinking and they're searching for just the right phrase or word. They're not going to settle for just
It didn't matter
a
how long it
throw-in
took.
word like I use.
It didn't matter how long it took her to find
Right.
it.
Right.
She's also really willing to engage, to break and engage in a moment of levity through humor so easily.
Yeah. Of her childhood too, fights. I mean, later on she talks about physical fights. Now, this is an interesting thing. I think extroverted sensation with introverted thinking there can be a real love of, physical engagement, like Andrew Jackson. But I don't know. You tell us what you noticed.
An interesting thing that came up last night in discussion is that if you're looking at these guys as being the doers, and they're the tip of the spear, so they're the ones that actually execute the actions.
Yeah.
And if pain comes into it, which it would, in kind of a hunting gathering situation, like an evolutionary situation, what causes you to suffer with physical pain is your emotional reaction. If you do not have an emotional reaction to pain, it's not a pleasant sensation, but it's not pleasant. There's no emotion attached to it. So you can do an extraordinary amount of pain if you can block out the emotions.
Wow.
And so I think for both ESTPs and ISTPs, that ability to block out but then the flip side is when they do have internal problems, they just can't go internal and deal with that pain because their trick is to block it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good. You're going to see that in my next clip.
I think too she's talking about something could be a very weighty subject, but it's not presented in an earnest fashion at all.
Right. Yeah. It's just kind of, there it is. Very much, I love the sort of, what you see is what you get with ESTPs, and especially ESTPs, and to a lesser extent ISTPs too. you don't see a lot of what's in them, but they're certainly willing to tell you, you know, if you ask the right question.
Right.
But physical fight is kind of an interesting thing. So the next clip is from, I think Bruce Willis very often plays an ISTP. I like your term about operations because the term I use for the introverted, for the extroverted sensing function is operator. But what I'm really thinking of is, you know, the guys that are working undercover and they say, we're ops. You know, everybody wants to be that, right? You know? When they're in a film, it's like, oh, we're the ops, you know.
But really,
we're the guys that are the point of the spear.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah, they actually call themselves operators, and a very high percentage of your special forces guys will be STPs.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
So
right.
Fits it well.
Yeah, yeah. So I love this scene because John Malkovich is such a crazy person in this film, and he's the one trying to talk to Bruce Willis about actually verbalizing his feelings to his girl.
Frank, listen, I gotta tell you something. You have to start to learn to share your feelings to evolve your relationship, even if it seems uncomfortable at first. Say you're pinned down in a firefight. If you stay where you are, you're gonna die, okay? So, you tell me, what do? Make the run. Yes, you have got to make the run to emotional safety.
What I love about that is, you know, I mean, he can talk, you know, about the girlfriend, and then immediately be in the firefight. I mean, just that, you know, immediately able to switch and be in the moment.
His facial expression, though, when the guy says, you know, you've got to do the emotional piece, he kind of goes, huh.
Right. Yes. Yes. And
something to consider.
It's so great, and he's so clueless all the way through the movie on this. And Mary Louise Parker plays the girlfriend, and she's, you know, working to get some reaction out of it. And he has them. It just doesn't show it as an ISTP. They are very impassive to effects on the outside. So,
Can I comment on that slide?
What?
Can I comment on this slide?
Sure.
I do a lot of whitewater kayaking, so I'm with a lot of SP folks, and one of my best friends, so I have INTP preferences. One of my best friends has ISTP preferences. And exactly what you're saying here is exactly right. Like here I am with Myers-Briggs and all these mental models that I'm applying.
Yes.
And he works in a factory where he knows how to fix every single machine in the semiconductor factory, and he's the only one. They have like 5 or 10 guys who do this, but he's the only one who can go around any machine, drop into it, and just be like, I'm fixing it.
Right.
And we're driving to the put-in, and we get a flat tire. He's like, okay. It's not even his rig. He's just like, okay, let me get this, let me get that. And it's just, I don't know. This pretty much speaks to my experience with that girl.
Exactly. We have a friend who has ISTP preferences, and he's he makes robotics, extremely complicated things, very, very technical. He's just a brilliant guy, according to people who know about that stuff. But they're all physical. He's really got to be right there doing it in the moment. And of course, he's able to do the math too. But, you know, this is the part that he really loves and that he's really good at. And so, yeah, that's what I think to distinguish these. Yeah.
I was just going to say quickly, one of the quickest way to type ISTPs, I'm around them a lot too, but I ask them, did you take things apart as a kid? And about 90% of the time they say yes.
Great.
And the reason they're doing that is because they're natural system analysts, and they have libraries of systems in their head, and they break everything down to system and pattern form to its simplest form. And then when they come upon a situation, I'm sure everybody knows this, but it's all systems.
Yes,
it's all,
exactly.
Yeah, and then emotions just interfere with that. Well, they are.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not going to be as good.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point. Do you take things apart as a kid? That's really helpful for assessing.
One guy actually, his parents would beat him over it, he said. And his eyes went really like,
oh yeah.
yeah,
Well,
because he couldn't help
it. It can be
it.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Taking
So you
apart
take
your
stuff
alarm
apart.
system, and you're trying to,
Because they don't always put it back together.
Right,
They're
and
too
you
young,
don't
so
get
they
it
come
back,
home and they're like,
Yeah.
quit taking shit apart. And I think he took the beat.
So, okay, now let's look at INTP, the mental model maker, and I want you to look at the eyes, because that's where you see that introverted thinking.
In different ways, is what I'm saying. So the next one is that we are critical and mean to other people. And the truth is, when we're critical or critiquing, and that's what I was looking for, but when we're critiquing other people, or at least for me, I don't do it because I want to hurt someone's feelings. I do it because I want to, it's kind of my way of showing affection without being affectionate, I guess. But it's just, we want to help, or at least I want to help other people become better at whatever it is, and I can't really do that very well, I guess, because my initial instinct is to give them ways they could have done better. And I mean, I also put effort towards going over what they did well, but I also think it's really important, maybe more important, to go over the things that they could improve on. And I mean, when I say this, I don't say it as in I think you're so stupid you're never going to figure this out. It's more so that I think they're smart enough to learn this thing, and I'm just trying to help them get there.
So what aspects? INTP-ness or introverted thinking in particular?
Let me just
Yeah.
add, I say this to people a lot to help them understand my own preferences. And what I tell them is, she's talking about this being affectionate and trying to help people be better. And to echo something that the STPs were saying, if we don't actually care about you, we're not going to bother to criticize you. Why would we waste our time critiquing something that wasn't good from someone we didn't care about? I mean, that just seems stupid. So you're already
It's
at
a
this
compliment.
level. You're already
It
at
is.
a level of respect. If you deserve our criticism.
It doesn't sound like a compliment, but it is a compliment.
I like that if you deserve our
Yes. Yes.
You're worthwhile bothered with. That's okay.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to BB's spine there, because the effort there is extroverted feeling. Like, you want to help people. She wants to be helpful.
Yeah. Extrovert feeling is an ego function for INTPs. Yeah.
There could even be extrovert intuition in that she sees critiquing as a means of actually creating a greater possibility of whatever system is getting better.
That's quite true. Could be the auxiliary function showing up there. Yeah.
It helped me to understand that with a member of my family when there was a little INT bingo and one of them was unintentionally rude. And it actually made me realise that it's not the way it's meant to come across. It's meant to be affectionate, helpful, almost like a quality improvement.
Right.
I think if we were actually trying to be rude,
you'd know.
Very able to detect that.
Yes.
That helps when you're on the receiving end. Understanding.
Yeah. I'm going to replay this without the sound if I can get the sound to go up. And because I want you to notice
In different ways, is what I'm saying. So The next one is
Just look at her eyes.
That we are critical and mean to other people. And the truth is, when we're critical or critiquing, and that's what I was looking for, but when we're critiquing other people, or at least for me, I don't do it because I want to hurt someone's feelings. I do it because I want to, it's kind of my way of showing affection without being affectionate, I guess. But it's just,
Did you see that?
we want to help.
She's always searching for the right word.
So typical of introverted thinking. The ISTP woman did the same thing. The eyes are kind of narrow, kind of like that, while they're thinking internally. It's different from that ISTJ that we saw first. It's more soulful. I don't know how to describe it. It's more soulful. The introverted thinking eyes are sort of narrow and looking up and to the left and right. And there's big long pauses that Sue Blair pointed out in the way they speak. The end of the sentence almost doesn't come. You're waiting for the end of the sentence to figure out what point are they making. But they are refining and clarifying their thought.
And do you ever notice them actually close their eyes?
Yes,
yes. In the process of speaking.
Yes, good point. So
Watching an INTP live in terms of their processing, for me as an ENFJ, is incredibly painful. Because it's like, get on with it. Would you just say whatever it is you're going to say?
I know. Yeah.
It's worth waiting for good stuff.
I'm married for an
So this clip from the Beauty of Mind is about biographical film about John Nash Kindness, who won the Nobel Prize. It sort of shows a little bit of what's really going on inside the mind, and you see that.
Deep breaths. Nash, you might want to stop shuffling your papers for 5 seconds.
I'll not buy you gentlemen beer.
Oh, we're not here for beer, my friend.
Gentlemen, I'll feel she should be moving in slow motion.
Will she want a large wedding, you think? Should we say swords, gentlemen? Pistols at dawn?
Have you remembered nothing? Recall the lessons of Adam Smith, father of modern economics.
In competition, individual ambition serves the common good.
Exactly.
Every man for himself, gentlemen. Yeah, and those who strike out are stuck with their friends.
I'm not going to strike out.
You can lead a blonde to water, but you can't make her drink.
I don't think you said that.
All right, nobody move. She's looking over here. Right, she's looking at Nash.
Oh, God. All right, he may have the upper hand now, but wait until he opens his mouth. Remember the last time?
Oh, yes, that was the history books.
Adam Smith needs revision.
What are you talking about?
If we all go for the blonde, we block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. What if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. That's the only way we win. That's the only way we all get laid. Adam Smith said, best result comes from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself, right? That's what he said. That's right. Incomplete. Okay. Because the best result will come from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself and the group.
Ash, this is some way for you to get the blonde on your own. You can go to hell. Governing dynamics, gentlemen. Governing dynamics. Adam Smith. What's wrong?
Yeah, here we go. Careful.
love to show this a real big difference between introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking goes right to the goal. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a clear, a sudden, almost epiphany of an idea in its full form of essentially a clear cause and effect strategy.
Well, maybe it's clear to you. But I like that, yeah.
He solved the problem completely in his head and
He
didn't
has.
bother
He has.
actual doing of it.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that.
Must
The
have
problem is solved in his head.
And that was much more interesting than actually getting laid. That mental masturbation is where it's at.
Yeah.
And also very sincere, but entirely miscalculated of how it's perceived, saying thank you to that woman who was like completely baffled as to why he'd say thank you to her. But it was completely sincere coming from him. He genuinely felt gratitude towards her.
Yes, that's true. But if you saw the movie, he actually does get the blonde. So this is really interesting, that introverted thinking types do eventually get the goal, and they do it in this very circuitous way that drives extroverted thinking types mad. So you see this all the time play out in organizations. You've got the research over here and the development over here. And the research people, you know, the development people are trying to get something to work and be relevant in the real world and make it to the deadline and produce a product. But the introverted thinkers, they want to refine the process. And they may take a long time. So the extroverted thinkers are over here and they're getting goal after goal after goal. And the end of the year they may have, 25 goals met. Introverted thinkers are refining the process. At the end of the year they may have nothing. But at the end of 2 years, they have a process that turns out 1,000 products.
Although one thing I wonder though, would an ESTP see themselves someone who also refines the process?
What?
Would an ESTP also introverted the type which sees itself as someone who refines the process rather than get something done and in the market as a product?
I don't know. I'm really talking about TI in the dominant position. But we have an ESTP who can.
Yeah, it's all about efficiencies. Absolutely.
Yes,
Everything
efficiency.
Everything is efficiencies.
Efficiency.
Short of throat can make it.
Yes. Okay. This is great.
Giveaway for an INTP?
Yes.
They have this lecturing style.
Yes. Yeah. So they're talking.
What you need.
Yeah. They're talking to everyone and no one at the same time.
And did you notice his hand gestures? Did you notice anything about them?
They're kind of contained.
Yeah. But they're also rounded.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're not linear.
Mm-hmm.
It's so opposite. Extroverted thinking gestures.
Let me explain the world. Let's go there.
Right. Yes, exactly. Let me explain the world. So true. Yes. And understanding is the most important thing for introverted thinking type. Understanding. To other types, I don't care so much about understanding as long as they get the job done. So, long pauses, eye movement, indirect style. Now we're going to do tests. See what you can do with what I've taught you. I'm just going to look at these 5 dominant functions. But, you can get either the dominant or the auxiliary. I don't care. I figure if you get one when you're trying to assess somebody, that's good. You're halfway there. So these are the things to keep in mind. You can use this stuff. This is probably the cheat sheet to use. I think these will have everything you need to know, but you probably just will get it from just looking at them out of your gut, because I think we all have this ability intuitively at this level of type. So, you can probably even tell by the topic what type this is. But,
Right. It's not an us versus them, or me and my friend group and I versus everyone else who is incompatible with me as a person. It's more so that I'm pretty neutral towards everyone. And I feel like I can understand a lot of people's behavior as well. But if you I'm pretty easygoing with most people, but I only befriend those who I feel most connected to, and those are the people that I feel like I can share ideas with, people I can enjoy shared activities with, things like that. And beyond that, it's usually an acquaintance.
Okay, what do you
Introverted
you want to
thinking.
hold up what you think it is, or?
Introverted thinking.
Yeah. Introverted thinking, and you see those eyes, it's so remarkable. Now, I think you're not going to see that always with a mature INTP who's very type developed, has a lot more functions, but when we're young, we're very much in our, in excess monotype. As INTPs get older, they really develop that extroverted feeling much more.
I just have to say, this is exactly what it's like to talk to my husband on Skype. He's an INTP. Drives me crazy that he never looks at me.
Yes.
The entire time he is looking away somewhere else, and I just want to reach out and slap him when he does that.
But he did get the girl.
He did get the girl, yes.
They get there in
He's better in person.
Yeah?
Also, quite a bit of introverted feeling there, and that there's much assessing of how comfortable he feels towards a particular person, and therefore adjusting his closeness to them in accordance with that.
That was a framework.
Say that again. That was so intellectual. I didn't quite follow it.
There was very much about assessing about how he feels towards another person,
Yes.
and adjusting his closeness to that person
Right.
based on that person's feeling of comfort or like towards them.
Right.
At which point he can then share his ideas.
Right, and so this calculating, this constant calculation of introverted thinking. And I think also about that ISTP girl who said, she didn't like to be touched. I mean, there's something about introverted thinking that doesn't want to be, you just don't want to approach too close. I mean, there's a personal space that they need for that introverted thinking to operate well.
Maybe that's because it stimulates the SE. Maybe because it stimulates the SE. You know what I mean? It creates a distraction, that physical touch, a sensory experience.
Maybe, but it's true for INTPs also. Yeah. Oh, we are? Oh my God, well.
But do we want to do at least one more check?
What?
Can we do one more test?
Okay.
Is that all right? I want to make sure everyone has a break before the keynote.
I'm going to talk about in this week.
No, I'm not going to do that one. That one's easy. This one, I want you to do this one. The woman where the arrow is. Listen to her.
Something in me that the idea of homey stuff and caring a lot about home scares me that home's gonna try to suck me in and consume me, and I don't want that. I don't know. I'm scared of that in a way. Yeah, I have to be out there.
You didn't tell me that the first time we hung out, so I was a little. My house, so one of my friends came over to my house. They'd never been at my house before, and she came in and she was like, "Why does your house feel like a bachelor pad?"
I've been told that too. Have you? Yeah, just recently. So when you live like a bachelor, I'm like, I don't have any food. I don't have a couch. I don't have a TV. I have a tent in my. That's just nonsense. Yeah. No real food. I mean, there's LaCroix and some salsa. Beer.
Beer. What?
She's beautiful. Excellent.
You have any idea about her auxiliary? I'll show you the next slide. You can think about it. I'll show you the next video shows you her auxiliary. The same girl next day. Alone.
Something in me that but what's so cool about that is it's just exploring all the sides of TI, and ESTPs are willing to go to the bottom of anything we believe, because anything we believe is because of SE, external observations of real things that we see mixed with the logic about it. So there's no personal anything in either one of these things. It's just SE with what makes sense. So it's if you sit with two ESTPs, it's you should, or anybody else with high SI or high TI, you should be able to come to the same conclusions. And this is like a thing that offends other people because you'll be trying to get them to come along your logic train. And if they don't do that, they can find it offensive. You're questioning their beliefs.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I find this so interesting. That when you see her in the first film, she's like all party girl. She's, she was like the ditzy blonde. And here, you see this other side of her, this real intellectual. And by the way, she's a doctor. She's a physician. And so she's really, you just don't see that at first with her. She's all, kind of performing.
It's that
in a way,
friend thing.
but also interactive. I think what's so charming about ESTPs and EFFPs too, they have this interactivity. And there's something about their eyes really open so widely. It's like they're really observing. That's what I noticed. That's what I want to leave you with.